What's up, everybody? Welcome to Canes Insight Live, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Saturday, man, huge day for the Hurricanes on both the diamond and the football field. Football wise, elite recruiting class. We've gone over it in the past and some of the big time players that we're after and where we stand in each recruitment. We'll go over some of that here on this show, but really zeroing in on a defensive tackle / offensive lineman who is truly elite and has more Canes interest than maybe he's been reported, and is showing it on social media. So we'll talk about that one. He's on a visit right now. Then, of course, we'll talk some Canes baseball. Everybody's fired up. Great kind of heart-stopping win last night against Alabama, or just last evening against Alabama, about 4 feet from disaster, but you end up winning that game against a really talented SEC team. And now you got Columbia tonight at 9 in Hattiesburg with the chance to stay on the winning side and really put yourself in a good position to advance to the Super Regional, which would be an outstanding result for the Miami Hurricanes. First, talk about some folks. They're always super. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. No Pete hopping in today. He's running around. I would have done this morning. We like to do the breakfast with the Canes on Saturdays, but had a big game for the Miami Beach Bulldogs. So I was out there. Tough loss late, but E-Money almost hit a home run. It basically hit it, bounced right there off the fence. I told him, listen, you want to get that one over. You got to do some push-ups and got to do some pull-ups. That'll get you the extra 2 feet, get over the fence. Didn't have that problem yesterday for the Canes. Daniel Cuvée with a 3-run jack. Max Galvin continues to swing a hot bat, and just a great day. And we'll get to baseball. I know football and recruiting is always on top of mind. Brandon, he's ready to go. Philip Rusamano saying visit weekend seems to be going great so far. I can tell you the weather has been absolutely perfect. Always good. Clutch saying special Saturday show. Oh, I love doing these, man. This is fun. 5-3, of course. Let's go. That was a huge win. We'll talk about that. I know Canes Cat E305. He's in Hattiesburg right now, going insane. Is Blue in Hattiesburg? Let me know, man. I'm curious the vibe out there. It doesn't seem like the doesn't seem like the liveliest town, but I'm sure it is lively when you're winning big games like that. Brandon, what position is E-Money playing? Center field. So he's doing his thing out there, and the power's starting to come in. So he's about to knock it over the fence. He just got to use the hips a little more. Got to get him in that salsa dancing, that Elvis mode. The Hispanic gene did not translate to his hips because he's all upper body with his swing, but he's pretty strong. So he's been hitting it pretty good. Martin Dubé, you better have good news because I have to forfeit my gym to watch. I don't know if it's going to be news necessarily. I think we'll know news at the end of the day, or at the end of the weekend, or not even. I mean, these things are ongoing. But I mean, the good news is we got some great talent on campus. And here's what I'll say, is that when I talk to people around the building, I said this last time, and it continues to be true. And this includes the head man, right? The head man is a guy who's very intense. He's always on to the next one. Talk about Mauro Cristobal. And I can tell you that he has been expressing, at least from everybody that's around him, just a ton of quiet confidence in the team, which we've talked about. Carson Beck healthy. We did that last show yesterday. If you didn't see it, talk about Carson Beck being healthy, just some of the talent that's been assembled all across the team, but also recruiting. I mean, he landed number 1 player in the country. Jackson Cantwell. I'll pull that up before we get into some of these other 5 stars. Jackson Cantwell throwing up the U, winning the state championship in every throw imaginable, as he always does. Let's pull this up because I can never get enough Cantwell. Before we get into some of the new 5 stars, let's talk about the number 1 player in the country, Jackson Cantwell. There you go. You see him right there, throwing up the U as the state champion in discus, shot put. I mean, he's a state champ in everything. One of the best throwers of all time at his age. So yeah, he's pretty talented dude. He's in the bag. So that one. All right. So the question is, who's going to be joining our guy, Jackson Cantwell? So let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about, which is Lamar Brown. So quick refresher on Lamar Brown. This is a 5-star player, as you see here, from Baton how do you say it? The rest of the right way to say it. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, University Lab. That's literally right there on LSU's campus. So, of course, you see the crystal ball. Everybody is saying LSU. I can tell you, and you see the ranking, this is a top 10 player nationally, consensus number one defensive lineman in the country, can also play offensive line. But I think Miami's always been recruiting a defensive line. Now the momentum has kind of gone to recruiting him as an offensive lineman. Let's see the haircut. I'm wearing a hat, so, you know. He did a great job, though. Shout out to Oliver. He's the team barber. He cuts everybody's hair at UM, football players, managers, coaches. So he's the man. So I had to get at it there. So anyways, the Lamar Brown. So everybody assumed he was going to LSU. I can tell you the first time he visited unofficially, which again, we always like to watch the unofficial visits. We talked about Tristan Keys. He's on the number one receiver in the country on his third visit to the University of Miami. This being an official visit, the last two being unofficial. When you make those trips from the deep south to Miami unofficially, clearly you have interest, right? This is not just taking a free trip on an official. When he was on that first trip, Lamar Brown, I can tell you that the message from him was, I know everybody thinks I'm an LSU lock because I go to school on LSU's campus. I am not. My recruitment is open. That was his message. Was he lying? I mean, who knows? Only he knows, right? That was his firm message to Miami in those terms. Now he's on campus. Before his visit, I reported that, look, Miami was running third probably between LSU and Texas A&M, which were battling, but they had a chance to make a major move because Miami has a very, very high grade on the player. Clear top 10 player in the country, so that's not exactly rocket science. But Miami views him actually that way. And we know when Mario values somebody and says, this is an elite player, there's an elite recruiting effort for the player. So everybody wants my hat off. What do you want to do, man? I just came from a baseball diamond. You want to see the hat hair? What's going on, guys? Everybody wants to see the hat hair, I guess. We get the hat on. Anyways, go Marlins. So when there's elite grade on the player, there's an elite recruiting effort for the player. You saw Jackson Cantwell and how aggressive we were in recruiting him between NIL, between just calling him every day, between the whole thing. Lamar Brown is being tabbed as one of these priority guys that Miami is going to go as hard as possible to get. That was what I was told going into the visit. And then they were going to give their best shot, see how the visit went, but they were not treating it like, hey, you know, he's favored to LSU, he's favored at Texas A&M. They were treating it like he's here, he's been here twice, and we want this guy bad. We're going to go full speed. So then yesterday, he had a couple interesting tweets to share on his own social media. So let's pull up his social media here. Love the 305. Who doesn't? Then he followed it up with this one. I'm going to let y'all folks keep sleeping on Miami in my recruiting process. Just watch. You know, is this guy trolling? Is he one of those guys? Maybe. I don't know. Again, only he knows. But I don't think that that's really his MO, to be a troll like that, you know, be a social media troll. I think he's just, you know, a young kid kind of saying what he thinks. And clearly he's enjoying his visit. And what I'd recommend is to sign up for the CanesInsight.com message boards, 7 million posts and counting, because one thing that's cool about the boards, free boards, the most busy hurricane community on the planet by a mile, is that when something like this is happening, kids on a visit, you got these like social media hounds, these hawks that are on every single post, and they post them before, like, I didn't even know they exist. I'm not really on Instagram personally. A little, just never that I missed that one. I was too old for that one. I never got into it. Aside from work and stuff, but people are on these kids' Instagrams and they'll post things that a lot of times, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, and kids post stuff on Instagram thinking, I guess it's private. And then it starts a huge commotion in a college football message board. So let's go to CanesInsight.com message board here. There's the Lamar Brown thread, which, as you can imagine, is bumping. You know, everybody, let's see here. There you go. Someone's posting the the Kodak Black for some reason. Some people are not buying the troll, or they're not buying the tweet as a troll. We got the Leonardo DiCaprio gif. You had my curiosity, now you have my attention. But recruiting vets know better. I won't read it, but some foul language, because the recruiting vets are saying, I've seen this story before. And there's a banana in the tailpipe, Eddie Murphy. No one's the veterans are not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. But then here's some more juice from this morning. Mario Cristobal, and I believe an Escalade. Who's there? You see right here, Lamar Brown. So nice little chauffeur. Again, there's Miami, Florida. Keep doubting Mario. So what I said before the visit, when Miami wants somebody really, really bad, they treat him like that kind of priority. And you saw who's driving that car, right? Again, does this mean that Lamar Brown is going to Miami or anything like that? No, I mean, look, this is a recruiting battle, right? This is how these things go. But here's what I will say. I don't think that Louisiana is as closed off as it's been in the past. Okay. In the past, it was very, very difficult to go into Louisiana and get players. It's not as hard lately. Just to give you some examples, last year, these are the top 10 players in Louisiana, right? Number one, these are all 4-star players. Number one, Harlan Berry goes to LSU, running back, undersized running back. Okay. Number two, Jakeem Stewart, USC. Devin Harper, interior lineman, Ole Miss. Then you have a couple LSU guys, JT Lindsey and Teron Francis. James Simon, running back, Texas. Jabari Antoine, corner, Jacob Washington, receiver, Michigan. Aiden and Andy, corner, ended up LSU. Then Jasper Parker to Michigan. So you see that kind of, it used to be, clean sweep, right, to get those guys. Now it's not as dominant as it's been in the past. Again, Brian Kelly, I know he has that Louisiana accent, but that does not necessarily mean that he's all Louisiana. Just to give you an example. Yeah, I'll just give you an example of how things are changing. So let me pull the screenshot here, just so you guys get a picture of what I'm talking about. So here are the top recruits in Louisiana, right? This is 2 years ago. And you can see this is how it used to be, right? LSU gets every good player in Louisiana. And you flash forward to last year after Brian Kelly made a fool of himself with a fake accent and a disappointing season on the field. Let's go to Louisiana. Sorry. You see, it's not going to be all LSU Tigers. It's a mix. So that is what you're starting to see, I think, in Louisiana. This year is a loaded year in Louisiana. There's a lot of talent. And let's take a look at the top players. Obviously, the number one player, Lamar Brown, who we're talking about now. Number two player, Blaine Bradford, going to Ohio State. You see the rest? They're starting to take care of business. Jermichael Garrett, I know Miami's in the mix here. So it is not easy to get players out of Louisiana that LSU wants. It used to be impossible to get players out of Louisiana, but now you're starting to see it happen more and more. And I can tell you, the message from Lamar Brown is, I'm open. Does that mean he is? I don't know. But I can tell you, LSU, if they disappoint after spending all that money in the portal for the top portal class, you think Brian Kelly's not going to be on a little bit of a hot seat? The vibes aren't going to be good. They just lost Bryce Underwood, number one player in the country. LSU is not rolling on all cylinders right now. They got a lot to prove. They wasted Jaden Daniels just like, we wasted Cam Ward. They did the same thing and then followed up with another disappointing season. So they're vulnerable. And the best player in state's here tweeting about how much he likes it here. So just, we're in the game there. Kerma Russell says, smash that like and subscribe. Boyo in Hamburg saying, Moin Canes fans. Yeah, shout out to Boyo in Hamburg. Anthony Manzano saying, when you look at Lamar Brown, is he going to be a space eater type of defensive tackle where he chews up multiple blocks, or is he a 3 technique? 3 technique, athletic, disruptive, dominant, elite player. And he would have been an elite offensive lineman too. Kevin Dennis says, we never get the guys that Mario drives around. I'm sure he's driven around a few guys we signed. I promise he was driving around Jackson Cantwell. Hassan saying, give a shout out to the Toledo Walleye. Today is game 1 of the ECHL finals. Yeah, shout out to the Glass State. I've always wanted to fish for walleye up there in the lakes. So that's like on the bucket list. Shout out to the Midwest. Mrs. G15, great point. She said, before LSU had the bag advantage, NIL has leveled the playing field. Could not agree more. That is exactly what is happening. Plus, I think LSU, again, in general, is just down, right? LSU is not where it needs to be. Appreciate you, First Coast Kane. Yeah, so I think Lamar Brown is a guy who, look, is it going to be an easy pull or anything like that? Obviously not, man. Let's be real about the situation. But I wouldn't just see those tweets where he's saying don't sleep in Miami. I mean, I'll give you honestly, I don't see tweets like that often. That's a little unusual. I've not seen that kind of tweet. I've seen obviously all kinds of weird recruiting tweets, but that was a new one. Like, don't sleep on them in my process. And then, people say like, oh, like you saw the comments on the Canes board, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, all that. I'm a recruiting vet. It's not my first rodeo, and that one got my attention. Another kind of elite player that I want to talk about that I think we have a better chance than people think is Anthony Tank Jones from Mobile, Alabama. Pull up his profile right here so you can see some of his highlights. Elite player, another guy who's really on that borderline 5-star status, edge, who also, he can drop it to coverage. He can do a lot of stuff, but this is one of the more talented guys around and just one of the more interesting players because of the profile. You see him there shedding a block, making a tackle. This is a physical dude, Anthony Jones. And there's people in the recruiting industry. I've seen Ivan say it. I've seen, Steve Wiltfong say it, that even though he's in Mobile, Alabama, and the crystal ball's on Auburn, number 15 player in the country according to the 247 composite, another guy who visited in the spring, by the way, and is here on his second visit. A lot of people and Miami sources tell me that we are right in the mix of this recruitment, say he is not locked and loaded to Auburn, that Miami is right in the mix. These are national guys saying it, and I can tell you Miami's singing the same song. There's a guy who won the state championship in discus, 161, also 56 in the shot put, finished silver in track and field in the discus. His production on the football field is crazy, 84 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 16 sacks. He's also a very good basketball player, and he can go catch the ball. So just a very talented guy that I really like what he brings because he's physical, he's explosive. When you're in that shot put and discus world, you have that explosive power. We know Jackson Campbell's got stupid power, but for an edge, this guy to win states in those events, that tells me he's athletic and he's explosive through his hands. Of course, the basketball tells you that he's coordinated as well. You see him how he gets off blocks. Most edges in high school, they're trying to be finesse. They don't get off blocks like that. And then look at this. Corner route, goes up and gets it. A little out route, actually. Goes up and gets it. It looks like a game winner because everybody went crazy there. So he has that finesse to his game as well. I don't think the twitch is like elite, like when you're talking about somebody who's going to be a top 15 overall player like he's ranked. But look at the athleticism. Wildcat quarterback, making guys miss, dragging guys. I'm a big believer, and I say this all the time. I go back and watch when guys get drafted. I always go back and watch NFL or their high school films to see how this guy go from where he was to the NFL and first round pick. I can't tell you how many defensive players, defensive tackles, defensive ends, offensive tackles, pass rushers, linebackers were Wildcat quarterbacks in high school. Because when you get, not like permanent, but just for spots. Because when you're the best athlete, and this guy's on a good team, by the way, he's not in some rinky-dink college team. Look at him run down that guy. When you're playing Wildcat like he is right here, a very good football team, that means that you're the best athlete. I don't care if you're a front seven guy, you're an athlete, and we're going to give you the ball. So I'm really, really a fan of this guy. I know Miami's really a fan of this guy. They say his character's out of this world. And another one, big priority. And people are going to look at these guys and say, but Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they're going to say Mobile, Alabama. We're not going to get these guys. I'm telling you, I'm not saying we're going to get them. I'm saying we're in the mix. And if we don't get them, we're going to make the other team sweat and pay up. So, we'll see. I would not count out Mario with any of these guys. Kevin Tennis saying, did LSU recruit Reggie Wayne and Ed Reed, of course, the two most famous Louisiana Canes? No, but maybe they did a little bit, but that was before LSU was really LSU. LSU sucked at that time, and both of those guys were kind of lower rated recruits. So we snuck them by there. That was a different era of LSU before they really got everybody in state for a while. Not anymore. Anthony Jones from Mobile, which is a place that Miami's gotten 2 players recently, more underrated guys, but guys that were very talented. And Bobby Pruitt, Cole McConaughey, both guys played last year on the defense. Chris Grotto saying, I know we're going after a lot of receivers, but who are the 3 must-gets? If you ask me, there's just the uncommitted guys. I don't think we had, so we don't have any commits yet. So I'd say the three guys that I'd put the top of my board. I'm not saying it's the top of UM's board, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were, let's say. Tristan Keys, Calvin Russell, Vance Spafford. Tristan Keys, the 5-star number 1 receiver overall in the country from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where the Canes are playing baseball right now. Calvin Russell, the basketball player, wide receiver, top 40 player from Northwestern in Miami. And then Vance Spafford from Orange County, the electric slot receiver with 4.3 speed, who visited Miami unofficially and is coming back for an official. I think those three really stand out. There's a lot of other guys. I like Jason Lopez from Chaminade. He's on the top 3 of my personal list, but those are all some guys that you're keeping an eye on. Martin Dubé says Auburn we can beat. Bama would be harder, but Auburn can be beaten. Just ask Cal. Certainly on the field they can be beaten. Recruiting, they're pretty good, but they can be beaten. I think that's the battle really for Anthony Tank Jones. We're talking about Auburn, which is, again, their head coach is not exactly in a secure seat. They put a lot in the portal. There's a lot expected of him this year. That could fall apart quick. I think it's an Auburn-Miami battle for Tank Jones. Anthony Manzano wants to know, who are the defensive tackles that we're recruiting that are traditional space-eating, just kind of big boys? I'll tell you, a very athletic big boy would be the defensive tackle from Arkansas who's visiting right now. Let me make sure I get his name right, because I don't got Pete. Pete usually is the one that gets my names right when I screw them up. So let me make sure I get the name right. But we are currently hosting a 6'4", 335-pounder by the name of Anthony Kennedy from Little Rock, 4-star, high 3-star from Little Rock, former Missouri commit. He's a big traditional defensive tackle. We're also hosting Keyshawn Stansel, another defensive tackle, smaller guy, more similar to the Anthony Tank Jones, athletic player from Clayton, North Carolina. This is in that Raleigh area, I believe. Doug fan, what's your gut feeling on Carson Beck? I mean, I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be as good as Cam Ward necessarily, but I think with the thing with Carson Beck, and now that I know that he looks healthy, I think there's, like I said, the stuff with the departure, you can't just brush that aside and say, yeah, Georgia, it wasn't a clean departure, we don't worry about it. You do worry about it a little bit. It's not uncommon. I mentioned Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels as examples of comps, particularly Jaden Daniels. They were like cleaning out his locker at Arizona State. But I think the thing about Carson Beck that makes me feel confident at night when it comes to the Canes is the experience. College football quarterback these days is all about experience. Rookie quarterback, the NFL is all about experience. Look at the guys who play well early. Daniels, Nix, super experience. Cam Ward coming in, super experience. These are guys with a ton of college starts. I think Beck's experience as an older player who started in the absolute biggest games in the world for college football, I think he's going to come in ready to rock with a lot of confidence. He's a super smart guy anyways, had a lot of responsibility at Georgia. He's impressed us on the board. So I think the experience factor of Beck gives me a lot of confidence that he's going to be effective, especially when he has a good offensive line. Receiver concerns me a little bit. It would concern me more if we had a young quarterback who needs kind of to lean on those older guys. When you have an older veteran quarterback, you can get away with maybe a younger, less cohesive receiving core because he gets the guys in order. He's the one that's been around. So we'll see on that one. MLM Management, what's good, D-Money? Hope this weekend sets us up for the best class in the nation. We got a chance, man. We got a chance. Eddie Della says, good morning, D. I hope you're in a different part of the world, or else you had a long night last night with the club space. So we're talking about recruiting battles. Let's talk about donating to Canes Connection. Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate your segue. CanesConnection.com/CIS. You want to get Anthony Tank Jones, top 15 player in the country. You want to get Lamar Brown, number 8 overall player in the country. You like getting Jackson Campbell, the number 1 overall player in the country. It's got to be through Canes Connection. Do your part. Don't just stand on the sidelines. Let other people spend their money for you. Be on the inside. So when we win a championship, you can look at that and say, I played a small part in that. Not just watch it as a fan. You watch us holding that crystal ball and you say, I played a small part in us holding that championship. I didn't stand on the sideline, let other people do my job for me. I stood up as a man, as a Canes fan, said, I'm going to do my part for that 6th national championship. So sign up today, CanesConnection.com/CIS. Make sure you include that /CIS. You get access to private Zoom chats, Q&As. I'll answer any question you have. Exclusive stuff that I can't say here because we don't want Knowles and Gators creeping on it. So CanesConnection.com/CIS. Be on the absolute inside of information where no one's more inside than you, and also have a stake in what's happening here with the Miami Hurricanes. CanesConnection.com/CIS. Appreciate you, Eddie. Pretty ironic that John Gruden showed Zay Horton film on Michael Irvin and Andre Johnson on his recent show. I didn't see that. Yeah, clue me in on that one, Ladarius. I didn't see that one. But, Zay Horton, I think, is going to be a really good player. We wanted to keep Zay Horton. It's a myth that we pushed him out. We didn't push him out. Zay Horton, I think, wanted to go to Alabama. He was intrigued by the school. He was intrigued by playing with Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, and then the quarterback Ty Simpson's from Tennessee like he is. So he thought, this guy's going to throw me the ball. No one's going to double cover me because I got all these other guys. And, it's Alabama. He's seen him win a lot of championships, man. So I think he likes the situation. I don't blame him. Anthony Manzano saying, we're recruiting Bryce Perry Wright and Trent Anderson hard. Trent Anderson, I'm just not sure of. I'm not saying no. I haven't heard that name. Bryce Perry Wright, absolutely. Miami's recruiting him very, very hard. Sanchev, hey, Canes fans, if you want those 5-star, sign up for Canes Connection. I did. Appreciate you. That's what it takes. Eddie Delva, still morning in California. My guy. Appreciate you. Love California. Went there last year. Dying to go back. Trying to go back to Visalia, California. I passed by there. Passed through Bakersfield, home of the great, or actually passed through Oildale, right next to Bakersfield, home of the great Merle Haggard, one of the greatest American musicians of all time, period. Passed through his hometown, passed through Visalia, California on the way to Sequoia National Park in Kings Canyon. Visalia, California, the hometown of Isaiah Briggs, a tight end, top 10 tight end in the country. Miami is after, and getting a lot of predictions for crystal balls for Izzy Briggs. So California, Eddie, if you're in that area, drop in a word with Izzy Briggs. Boyne asking, how are former players contributing to Canes Connection NIL? There are plenty. Needs to be more, but there's plenty doing so. Chris wants to know, would the receiving room be too crowded if the top wide receivers come in the class of 25 receivers are there? Look, that's why you have a portal, man. Let the best team win. Let the best team win. Or the best players win, I should say, and let the best team show up on the field. Let's get the best 22 guys. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about guys getting upset. Get the best players. 1,500 on live here on a Saturday afternoon. Appreciate everybody joining us. Like and subscribe to the show. Love all you guys with your support of the show and passion for the Canes. Got 1,500 on a random Saturday in May. That's how you know things are going well for the program. There's a lot of excitement and juice around the program. If you want a juicy steak, you want a juicy Cuban sandwich, you want some pork, you want any of the above, the number one Cuban restaurant on the planet, you already know East Las Canadias, 40-plus years in running, right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. They got the full menu here. Look at all the awards. Best Cuban sandwich, best Cuban restaurant, best croquetas. They win everything you could possibly imagine. The menu's off the charts as we scroll through here. 7 different types of croquetas, the OG ham being the legend, tostones, loaded fries, empanadas, bowls, coffee, Croqueta County shirts like you see me wear sometimes on the show with Mike Ryan. You name it, they got it. East Las Canadias, the absolute best in the business, 40-plus years and running. Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. Don't miss it. Blue saying Cuvée better than Justin LeBron. Well, I know Cuvey's in the winner's circle. Justin LeBron is not. Love Justin LeBron, the shortstop for Alabama. He made some great defensive plays yesterday. He's a dangerous dude. I was worried he was going to tie the game up yesterday with that home run. Then he got walked, and then the next guy almost won it. So hell of a player, man. Great question from Anthony Manzano here. Does East Las Canadias have multiple locations in Miami? They sure do. The one I always talk about is is East Las Canadias Express, which is the newest one, right? That's the newest one that's in Dayland Mall, but they got a bunch. There's one there on 13695 Southwest 26th Street. What else they got? Let's see what other ones we got. Coral West Plaza. Yeah, that's the one on 13695 Southwest 26th Street. That's kind of the OG one. They got another one too on 137th Avenue. That is 3804 Southwest 137th Avenue. So yeah, two locations out there, Tamiami, Sweetwater area, 13695 Southwest 26th Street, 3804 Southwest 137th Avenue. These are staples. I mean, if you know, you know. Chili from LSU. We got his attention. We got the Tiger's attention. We're pulling the Tiger by the tail here. He's saying Lamar Brown's going to be a tough pull. Hey, Jackson Campbell was a tough pull, but you miss all the shots that you do not take. Let's see, 818 Cali Kane. If baseball team wins, it guarantees a spot. So here's how it works, 818. So Miami's going to play Columbia here. The two teams in the winners bracket of the regional. Columbia, the Ivy League school, the 4th seed, defeated Southern Miss. Their bats went crazy. I think it was final score was 11-4. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but it was an offensive explosion from Columbia against Southern Miss, who's hosting the regional. It's in Hattiesburg. Big upset. So now Columbia and Miami are in the winners bracket. The two favorites, Alabama and Southern Miss, are in the losers bracket. They're going to play tonight. Southern Miss is going to throw out their ace. They've been saving their ace for the next game. This is Middleton, a right-hander who's going to get drafted probably 2nd round. So he's going to face Miami if Southern Miss would have won, but since they lost, they're fighting for their lives and they're playing Alabama. Losers out. And that's going to be great because you're getting out one of the two favorites. So let's say if you can beat Columbia, you got Griffin Hughes on the mound. I agree, Blue. We need a big game from Griffin Hughes. He's been our best pitcher all year. Transfer from Cincinnati. Big time swing and miss stuff. Rising fastball. Good breaking stuff. Great athlete. Former 2-way player in Cincinnati. Top 3-round pick in this year's MLB draft, most likely. So Hughes needs that. He's had a couple slower starts lately. I need a big one here today against the Ivy League competition. So you beat Columbia, which is a big if. They looked good yesterday. You beat Columbia. Now you are undefeated. Columbia's got 1 loss, and the loser of Alabama Southern Miss is out. So let's say Alabama wins just to keep this going. Now Alabama plays Columbia, both with 1 loss, and then the loser of that's out because they get 2 losses, and then the winner of that plays Miami, and they have to beat Miami twice. The team that does not lose twice wins, right? It's double elimination, so that's how it works. But if Miami's Columbia, basically they have to be beaten twice by the same team because the winner of the Alabama Southern Miss game would play Columbia, and the loser of that would be out. So that's basically how it works. And then you go on to a super regional where you play most likely Vanderbilt if things go chalk. And that'll be hosted by Vanderbilt over there in Nashville next weekend. That'll be a pretty cool trip for a lot of people going out to Nashville. And then you play a series against Vanderbilt. If you win that, Omaha, which looked a long way away last year when you had the worst season since the 50s, and looked a long way away in that Duke series when it looked like you were headed to another equally bad year. So shout out to JD Arteaga. Shout out to Coach Lash. Shout out to the entire Hurricanes baseball community and team for stepping up and getting that thing done. I mean, as they talk to us, we got lies to tell over the summer. Beck winning the Heisman or what? I don't know what the Heisman. If Cam Ward didn't win the Heisman, it's pretty tough to win. But Cam Ward had a year that's going to be hard to replicate. That offense was number 1 in the country by a mile in every stat that matters. I think Beck and Miami's offense will be a step back from that just because that was like unreal historic stuff. But I think it could still be top 10 unit in the country because of the experience of Beck, because of the NFL skill set of Beck, and then because of the fact they have a great offensive line and good running game as well. So receiver is going to be the weakness. Appreciate you, Dark Side. Let's see. Shaboy Kane, what day do we open camp? I don't know if it's come out yet officially. I have an inkling, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to disclose. Not that it's anything secretive, but, whatever. It's not my news to report on that one, but it'll be end of July, beginning of August. Anthony Manzano, recruiting the linebacker out of Georgia, Griffin, the one that just pulled away, is coming in for USC. Yes, we are recruiting him. I don't know if there's any traction there, but there is 100% interest there. Canes Council about our new transfer. I'm assuming you're talking about baseball. Braylon West out of FIU, first baseman, big guy. I remember seeing him when FIU played us midweek, and FIU was bigger than us. I said, we need to get some of that size. And sure enough, Braylon West to the University of Miami, really good hitter, almost as many walks as strikeouts, which for a big slugging first baseman is a good thing. Miami has lacked physicality at first base. Last year, by the end of the year, you had J.D. Urso and basically utility infielder starting at first base. That's not ideal. This year, Renzo Gonzalez, hopefully he's going to have a big part of us winning, going to Omaha, right? And defensively very good, but not the most physical, powerful first baseman. So I think that's an area you want to improve on. And Braylon West, to me, does that at first base, right-handed bat from FIU, playing basically a one and done. Eddie's saying, nice to meet at the Cal game. I remember you at that, what was that bar we went to? That was a fun place. I'm pretty sure that was that. I think JD and his wife were there, if I remember correctly. He got me a drink. Yeah, so JD was at the game. He was with his wife, JD Arteaga. I remember because his daughter, JD's daughter, took a picture with my wife because my wife was his daughter's professor at She's a student there now. So small world, man. But that was an epic trip, man. Cal was if we get another road trip at Cal, I know it's a little expensive out of the way. Couldn't recommend it more, guys, to get out there. That's the cool thing about those guys joining the ACC. Maybe do the same thing if Stanford plays. But Cal was awesome. Awesome game. Obviously, an epic comeback. Game day was there. It was a sick environment. That was probably one of the best road trips I've ever taken. Maybe the best besides the Rose Bowl. So shout out to Cal. Sucks they lost all their players. Juan Rodriguez, like and subscribe, Canes Nation. Appreciate. We got almost 1,800 on, man. I got to go on these Saturday shows more often, man. 1,800 on. Like and subscribe to the show. Appreciate you. 352. How is Ray Ray's hands catching the ball in the spring? Good. Much improved. He's doing a great job. Working hard. Ray Ray's a super hard worker. Great IQ guy. All the intangible stuff is really high with Ray Ray. I thought he was a little heavy last year for his game. He's always been kind of that running back build. I think it was a running back in youth football, I believe. So he likes to break tackles, kind of like Restrepo. But I like him a little lighter. So he's always going to work hard. He played his best. The best I've seen him play was this spring. But Malachi Tony played good too. And you just brought in Tony Johnson from Cincinnati, and you got returners now. A lot of competition for Ray Ray, but that's it's college football. That's Miami Hurricane football. It's gonna be competition. Canes guy helps support the baseball team, build around all-time great like Daniel Cuvée. Yep, Canes Connection is part of that too, man. So shout out to Canes Connection helping us get that baseball team turned around because they played a big part in that. M. Lemon Management, how's Darron helping recruiting? You talk about the quarterback, Darron Coleman. I'll tell you what the biggest thing he could do is he's out there in Elite 11 right now. I believe they throw today in California. I got to check the updates, but I believe that's this weekend, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, in this week. So he'll be competing at the Elite 11 over there in California. A lot of people think he's a dark horse to potentially win because he's so good in those camp settings, those 7-on-7 settings. His weakness obviously being his strength. He's really good in pads too. Took Orlando Jones to the championship game against American Heritage. I was there in person. Malachi Tony looked like Cam Ward on the other side playing quarterback. But Coleman was, very impressive on the field this year. Very productive on top of being outstanding in all these camp settings and in these 7-on-7 settings. Great arm, big hands, long arms. So he mitigates against being only 6 foot 6'1" with that stuff, but he's slight. He can run a little bit, definitely a pocket passer. Reminds you of Cam Ward personality-wise as far as he's got an edge to him in a good way. This guy is a competitor. He's aggressive. He'll tell the receiver, F you if you're in the wrong place and asking for the ball. So he's got a lot going for him. Got to get bigger. Everybody knows that. But this is a big opportunity for him to get his national profile up. And if you got the Elite 11 champion at quarterback, it's going to help with recruiting for sure. D. Briz, do you expect us to get any DTs in the portal, bodies for depth before camp? I would have expected it before the spring. It didn't happen. I don't think the finances made sense. Always a chance somebody can come in and surprise you. But I think at this point it might be cooked. I haven't heard that. Maybe someone will come in. I don't know. That's just like a weird situation, like a walk-on or a grad transfer I just haven't thought of. But, I thought I know the expectation was to get one of those guys in spring, and the market just didn't make sense. I think Artavius Jones, a lot of pressure of him to step up. Bagging up saying Walter almost lost it throwing all fastballs with no secondary pitch. He's got a pretty good fastball for the college level, right? It's got run on it, gets up to 97. He has secondary stuff. He was a starter for a while. He'll probably get a chance to start in the pros, at least initially. So Walters has got some stuff. There was a tough lineup against Alabama. He faced some beast and got out of it. We'll see today if he can go. Anthony Manzano, who has more natural power, Yo-Yo or Daniel Cuvée? Those two are always compared. I think Cuvet's got more natural power. He was going 440. No, he went 470 with wood bat in Cape Cod. So yeah, I would say he's got the most natural power. Who's most likely a receiver to commit this weekend, on your opinion, D? I don't think anybody's committing like this weekend. Like who I think is most likely to commit out of this weekend? I say Tristan Keys. Tristan Keys we're right there in the mix, man. I said on the bank earlier this week, we are right there in the mix for Tristan Keys. Hassan Shia, D, do you think the safety from Tennessee that Miami got will he start next to Zechariah Poyser? So yeah, so you got make sure I get the name right. Jacoby Thomas. I hope I'm not screwing that up. The safety from Tennessee. Yep, Jacoby Thomas, the safety from Tennessee. transfers to Miami, originally from Middle Tennessee State, 6'2", 202, really athletic guy as far as fast, played wide receiver a little bit in high school. At the college level, much more of a headhunter, big physical guy, had some highlight reel hits for Tennessee last year, but he's more athletic than like a Amari Carter to me. I'd comparable to Amari Carter, but more athletic, a little longer. I like him. He was going to start for Tennessee this year, and Tennessee's SEC top defense. So I think we're going to major upgrade. I've been wanting, and people who listen to the show, we got almost 1,900 on, man. Wow. Like and subscribe to the show. People who listen to the show know I want a physical safety for this defense. That's something that we've been lacking the last few years, just like that tone setter to really add a personality and an edge to this defense. I think we've been lacking that. Teams don't feel us when they play us on defense. And I think Jacoby Thomas definitely brings that. Zechariah Poyser, the safety from Jacksonville State, freshman All-America last year as a redshirt freshman. He's more like your Malachi Starks, versatile, do-it-all kind of safety. Not saying he's as good, but Georgia wanted Zechariah Poyser, and they recruited him to replace Malachi Starks as a starter. So there are some similarities there. I'm not saying he's as good. I'm just saying that he's that type of guy, and Georgia agrees because they try to get him to fill that role. Miami won that recruiting battle. This is about Darian Coleman. D, don't you worry about visibility downfield while in the pocket at the college football level with taller linemen? Yep, it's an issue. That's definitely an issue. You saw it at times in that American Heritage game when American Heritage got a nice bull rush going. So, yeah, I mean, the size is a real issue with Coleman. I mean, he'd be an outlier, but he has the ability to be that outlier. I think if you're saying, what's the comp if it all goes well, I'd say a Bryce Young would be the comp if it all goes well. Maybe a little bigger than Bryce Young, but I'd say that comp. Long arm, big hands, football-only guy, not like a multi-sport run-around guy like Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield, for that matter, who's a baseball player. So I'd say Bryce Young would be the comp for Darian Coleman if it goes right. That's like the high outcome comp. Not saying that that's what he will be. Let's see what we got here. Blue, we need to build around Cuvée next year. I agree. Can we bring LeBron home? I mean, shoot, we try, but he's at Alabama, and I think he's there. Alabama's a pretty good program, and he's having a great year. He's probably the number one pick next year in the draft, or at least top 10. So Justin LeBron, the shortstop for Alabama, originally from Broward County. I think that's just one of those that you miss out of high school and you regret. It's hard to get back. I do think, though, we could be looking to I know we will be looking at some big-time shortstops and second basemen, losing Dorian Gonzalez, losing possibly Jake Ogden to the draft. So we'll see how that situation goes. I think building around Cuvée, you're adding power, right? That's something that's missing from this team. Overall, just that size and physicality around Cuvée. We talked about Braylon West from FIU. Another first baseman / third baseman is Sean Copeland from Miami-Dade. Big, physical lefty. Hit about 15 homers, I want to say, for Miami-Dade. It's a stadium where it's hard to hit home runs. So he's a big-time talent. He got a lot of people excited. A lot of buzz around Sean Copeland. So there's going to be some big guys here on the corners here next year for Miami, which is a departure when we really just had Cuvée and then small guys, at that corner. Todd Hudson for a second maybe. But those guys are definitely going to make a big difference. Baggino says, not just a safety play lacking physicality, it's the entire defense, powder puff tackling, pillow fighting, twisting, and pulling instead of using their pads leverage. Nope, listen, I agree with you. We got to get more physical. I think Zechariah Poyser is a physical safety on top of the finesse that he has. He's not afraid to tackle. Jacoby Thomas is a thumping safety. Muhammad Torre, big physical dude. Bonner's got some decent size to him. So I think we'll get more physical. Defensive line, I think you're going to have some more nasty guys. Armando Blunt, you guys haven't seen him play too much because he's been was a 17-year-old last year, didn't crack the rotation, really played a little bit, but going to play a lot more this year and be a key guy. Armando Blunt's a nasty dude, man. He's the kind of guy, he might get some penalties for going under people's face mask and hands to the head, but he's physical and he's mean. Super smart, valedictorian of his class, elite IQ. I love the traits. I love the kid. I love the family. I think Blunt's going to be incredible. But the nastiness is there too. Don't mistake his IQ for softness. He is an incredibly physical player. D-Money, what's up with Bowman, the tight end from Cal? He's still going after him. He just committed to USC. Did a video on Group Chat Sports, by the way. So let me plug myself here because we're just getting this one started. This is in the infant stages here, but we're dipping our toe here in national stuff with Group Chat Sports. Talking really just a lot of, we got about almost 2,000 subscribers, talking a lot of, just national recruiting stuff, commits, portal guys, coaching changes. So, part of it is trying to, with this new era of high school football, is you want to keep up with who's where. So, part of this is you want to keep up with who's where on which team, because there's so much movement. And what I like to do with Group Chat Sports is keep up. Hey, this coach is here. Let me share the screen so you can see. You get a Double D money here. There he is, talking Mark Bowman. I need a new background. That's the Channel Islands. Nice spot in Southern Cal. But anyways, Mark Bowman committed to the University of Southern California. They're doing a great job of keeping guys in state. They got an expensive GM, Chad Bowden from Notre Dame. He's been recruiting his butt off. They got Kenye Pepe, Tomohini Topoi, also from Matter Day, like Mark Bowman. Mark Bowman reminds me of Brock Bowers, man. I'm not the first one to make that comp. I'm not saying he's going to be as good, but there's a lot of similarities between Brock Bowers and Mark Bowman, number one tight end in the country. So he's a stud. Keep an eye on that one. Not for Canes, just in general, being a star player. He's a good one. So I don't think Miami's in the mix there. What would you consider a successful season for JoJo stat-wise? Shoot, 1,000 yards. I mean, he's got to be the man. You lost a lot of production with Restrepo. He lost a lot of production, period. But you lost the lead guy in Restrepo. JoJo Trader's got to be the best receiver on the team. And why not be one of the best receivers in the country? Why can't he be a magazine guy on the cover of? Why can't he be on the cover of the 2026 Athlon magazine? He has that ability. He has that recruiting pedigree. He's got a quarterback that's got a lot of experience. He's got an offensive line that's going to give him time to get open. Why can't he? They're not going to stack the box, or they're not going to be able to play a light box against our running game. Why not have a huge year as JoJo Trader? So we'll see. Do we get both Russell or Keys, or is it either or? I haven't been told it's either or, but usually it's kind of hard to get two of these elite guys because they're so expensive. But I think my guess would be it ends up being either or, but that's not like written in stone. Anthony Mazzano saying the reason I bring up Bowman is because I don't really trust Southern California to keep in-state guys. They lost guys at the end of the cycle, so I think they can flip Bowman. That's true. That's why they brought in Chad Bowden. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but the GM from Notre Dame paid him $1 million to be their GM, so they're trying to keep some of these guys. But yeah, I think it could fall apart. I'm not high on USC next year, personally. I've been down on Lincoln Riley since he left Oklahoma with that great offensive line. I think he needs a great offensive line to be Lincoln Riley. They've been transfer portal heavy. They're doing a much better job recruiting high school now, but they got to have some success on the field or else that high school class will fall apart just like the last couple have. And you look at USC's team, young offensive line, wasn't very good last year. They lost their top running back. They lost one running back got drafted, Woody Marks. The other one, Joyner, went to Texas Tech as a very expensive free agent signing. He was a good player. They had some nice receivers up top with Lane and Lemon, but they lost their depth. They lost Zechariah Branch to Georgia. They lost Deuce Robinson to Florida State. So they lost some of the depth. They still got two good guys, but, limited. Quarterback, Jada Mayava, guy I watched a lot this winter. He's got talent. He's got upside, but he's up and down big time. And he's definitely not a consistent player. You watched the bowl game, threw a ton of picks, and then brought him back for the win. So inconsistent quarterback play. We'll see if Hussein Longstreet can win that job as a freshman sometime during the season. And then their defense hasn't been that good. So, I don't see a path for USC to be a great team this year. In fact, I can see them being disappointing. And if they are, who knows what happens with some of the players. Kenye Pepe being first in line. Clutch saying, if we could guarantee one landing spot, but we lost the other, who would you prefer, Cooper and Russell? So I'm speaking for myself. This is not speaking for the staff. This is a hard one. If it was Tristan Keys, I love. Between Cooper and Russell. So now we're talking about the running back, Derek Cooper from Chaminade, wide receiver, Calvin Russell from Northwestern. You want to start bringing the best guys home, or keeping the best guys home, especially these highly rated guys that have been going to places like Ohio State, like Jeremiah Smith. So these are big recruiting battles for both the players that are great players and also optics, right? I would say both have a chance to be really good. I've heard great things about Russell from a character standpoint, right, which is important when you look at someone who needs to develop. I would say Cooper's more of a sure thing. Neither of them are sure things. Russell, he's been playing quarterback earlier in his career. He is a big time basketball player. As a basketball offer from Miami, and is very skinny. I saw him in person. He's physically underdeveloped, right? So he has a lot of untapped upside. His mom's in the Hall of Fame for basketball in Miami. He's got a lot of untapped upside. I heard he's a very hard worker, that's a good combo. Untapped upside and someone who actually will work to maximize that. So that's good. Cooper, big guy, 6'1", 210, legit. I seen him in person. He looks like the Terminator, and he's legit 10-7 speed. So his breakaway speed, big time, a little straight line-ish runner. But when he gets open daylight, he's gone, and he's big and he's strong and he's tough. So Cooper's got a great, just kind of, I would say he's a one-trick pony, but he's got a great fastball, which is that speed and that being a stronger guy. You think of like a Lorenzo Lingard, who's a bust with a similar profile. Cooper's a lot bigger and more physical than Lingard, plays at a much higher level of play here in South Florida. So I think he's what you hoped Lingard would be. Between the two, I would probably say Cooper's, like I said, the sure thing. Russell, maybe more upside just because he's more untapped at this stage. So that's kind of where I'd be at with that one. Great question from Mr. G. Do you see a receiver that's not a slot receiver leading the team in yards in this offense? Yeah, JoJo Trader. JoJo Trader has to lead the team in offense or in receiving. Don't be surprised if it's CJ Daniels too. CJ Daniels, another one. He fits what Carson Beck likes. Carson Beck, so I went back. I said this on the other show. I went back and watched a ton of Carson. I watched every Carson Beck game last year and this year. He likes to throw to receivers and give them a chance to make catches when they're being covered. Contested catches, back shoulder, just placing the ball, allowing those guys to make plays. He likes to do that. He did not have guys who could do that last year. Arian Smith, track star, terrible hands. Dylan Bell, physical after the catch runner, terrible hands. London Humphreys, the white guy from Vanderbilt, just, he looks like Ladd McConkey. He does not play like Ladd McConkey. So they had some issues. They didn't have a guy to do that. Kobe Young could do that as far as the body control and the ability to adjust to the ball. And that's why when Kobe Young, before he got suspended, he was Beck's number one target. I think Beck missed Kobe Young. CJ Daniels can give me some of that Cody Young stuff. You could also get that from JoJo Trader a little bit, not as physical, but the adjusting to the ball he's very good at. And Josh Moore. Don't sleep on Josh Moore. We talked about it in the last show. I think Josh Moore is a young guy that could really fit in with Carson Beck. But for me, I want JoJo Trader to lead this team in receiving. That means we had a pretty good year. Shady614, any chance when we lease up in Hard Rock, we can get our own stadium? I don't want a stadium, to be honest, our own stadium. I don't really care what rival fans say. This is my personal opinion. I wanted the Orange Bowl. That's gone. So the Orange Bowl's gone. So for me, I like Hard Rock. When it's full, it's extremely loud. In fact, it's disproportionately loud because of the roof. But it's still open, so it's a nice open field. It feels like South Florida. It feels like Miami. So I like Hard Rock. There's, if you're a drinker, there's like full bars. There's a lot of amenities you don't have at these normal stadiums. So Hard Rock's a pro stadium. They have Super Bowls there, man. They have, Rolling Stones concerts there. It's the real deal. I like Hard Rock personally. We just got to win and we got to fill up Hard Rock. And then Hard Rock going to give you all you need because it is an extremely loud venue. And the on-campus stuff, listen, my wife teaches at UM. Very familiar with UM. UM is not Michigan. UM is not Tennessee. It's not a big school, big state school where the fan base, where the student body is a huge part of the fan base and the team's a huge part of the student body culture. These guys are on Instagram. Not all of them. We have some fans. If you're a UM student, listen to the CanesInSight podcast. Appreciate you. Like and subscribe. Got almost 2,200 on. Tell your friends. But, on average, a lot of UM students, they're on Instagram, they're listening to techno, going to the club. Like, they're not necessarily going to football games, pulling up, blasting, Morgan Wallen or whatever, like you see in the SEC or the Big Ten. It's a different vibe. So, yeah, it'd be easier for the students if the stadium was closer, but there's not that many of them, and they're not that big Canes fans anyways. So to me, Hard Rock is a great stadium. We got a lot of Miami Hurricane fans in Miami Gardens and, Tamarack, in different places around South Florida, Palm Beach, Boca, that even like Stewart, right? Places like that, it's easier to get to Hard Rock than something more south. So I love Hard Rock, man. If it's full, nothing like it. It would be absolutely electrifying. What's up, Johnny Green? Tell me something good. Like I said, I think the weather's good. I haven't checked right now because I'm inside, but last I checked this morning, weather beautiful, perfect Miami day. It's going to be a fun weekend, and we got elite players on campus. Before we wrap up, like I said, I did a long show on our visit weekend, so I will kind of go over it real quick. So those of you who didn't listen to that show or haven't listened to it yet, first of all, I recommend you do listen to it. But if you needed a refresher, I'll give you a quick right down the line refresher on like a one line. Tristan Keys, number 1 receiver in the country. Miami firmly in this. Adidas kid, visited 3 times already. I think Miami's got a great chance to flip Tristan Keys. Big time battle will take a lot of money. Will take a lot of commitment. I think both sides are kind of checking each other out before they get married because it's a big time commitment. But he's the best receiver in the country, and he loves Miami. Lamar Brown, we talked about on top of the show. He's giving signs that he likes Miami. He's telling people he's wide open. Miami's giving their best shot. They love him. Anthony Jones, Miami-Auburn battle. I like Miami's. I don't say I like Miami's chances. I don't know. I said I like Miami to be in there to the end and potentially win. Derek Cooper, I give Miami the slight edge. Big-time battle, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia right behind. Samari Matthews, the corner from Charlotte, North Carolina. He's rated as number 12 corner in the country. Miami does not agree with that ranking. They view him as elite, and they're treating him as an elite corner. Tough to get him out of that area, but they're going to try like crazy because they love him. Chauncey Kennan, Sam Shields' cousin from Booker, Sarasota, same high school actually as Sam Shields as well. Big-time player. Miami's looking at him. Isaiah Hampton, receiver from Rochester, New York. Syracuse-Miami battle. Syracuse is going to go hard for this guy because they need to. He's a stud. Keyshawn Stansel, another guy who's visited Miami a bunch. They love him. Samorian Wingo, wide receiver from the Panhandle. A lot of interest there. Mutual. That one's going on. Malik Morris visited a bunch of times from Lakeland, linebacker. Brody Jennings. Talk about, again, Miami likes all these guys. One guy they just absolutely love, Brody Jennings, corner, Jacksonville. Father tragically passed away this week. Bradley Jennings, former Miami, I think it was from Carroll City, played at FSU. I mean, just a complete tragedy. So your heart goes out to him, but he's still visiting to show you his level of interest. I mean, I can't imagine how that was happening, but obviously he thinks that's the best thing for him to cope on his dad would want him to do. And you just hope he has a good time and enjoys his visit and gets some peace there. But he's a Michigan commit. Miami loves him. Miami would love to flip him. Demarion Watkins, new name on the scene, safety from Rock Hill, South Carolina. That's right there on the South Carolina, North Carolina border near Charlotte. 6'4", 200 pounds. James Williams type. Should be a linebacker in college. Great player. High 3-star ranking. Miami loves him. South Carolina, Clemson in there. Clinton Portis' son. I saw Clinton Portis on campus yesterday. I was getting my haircut. Committed to Miami. Not much more needs to be said with that one. Zachary Turner, 6'2", 220-pound tight end from Duncanville, Texas in the Dallas area. Miami loves him. Super productive player. They look at him like an Elijah Lofton type, maybe more of a receiver, less of a running back. They'd love to land him. Southern Methodist right there in the mix, another Dallas school. They're kind of like with Syracuse and Messiah Hampton. This is a recruit that SMU needs to get, but Miami wants him bad. They're going to make him work. Anthony Kennedy, new name on the scene, 6'4", 335-pound tackle from Little Rock, Arkansas. Miami loves him. Visit him in person in spring. New name on the scene. They're checking him out this weekend. Love to add him. Daniel Norman, developmental defensive end from St. Thomas Aquinas. Good upside there. Needs some work. Of course, any developmental kid with NFL talent from St. Thomas is going to get some love. And Deanthony Lafayette, fast rising pass rusher from Orlando, Florida. Oklahoma's leader. Miami's making a push. 6'1", 230. All right, let me plug in my phone and plug in my charger and keep this thing rolling. A little dead air. I apologize. Just, I don't got Pete here to carry the conversation when I got to fix things, but man, my computer's burning up from all these questions. We are almost an hour mark. How much people online? 2,200, man. Shout out to the CanesInSight fan base. So we need a name for the CanesInSight fans. That's what we were talking about. We need somebody to come up with some name for the CanesInSight fan base. Category 6 got the Storm Chasers. I don't know, Dono is day ones or something like that. The Streeter, the boys over Footballville got the villains. So we need something for CanesInSight. If you guys can crowdsource something good, let us know, man. I always appreciate when the chat knows more than me, man, a lot of times. So, oh yeah, sorry, you're right. 904. Wingo's from St. Augustine, not the Panhandle. Yeah, no, I apologize. Yes, you are correct. St. Augustine is definitely not the Panhandle on the eastern part of Florida. So Wingo's from St. Augustine, not the Panhandle. So thanks for the correction. It's hard when I'm flowing through those, but that's why I got people like 904 Hurricane to keep me sharp. 850, man, appreciate you. Always love your support and your contributions. I was listening to a national podcast ranking coaches. They had Mario go from 35th to 20th. I can agree with that. He keeps improving, top 10 easy. Yep, I think it's a fair ranking. Here's what I would say. Obviously, the negatives on Mario are going to be, the Georgia Tech, right? Some questionable coaching decisions, not making a playoff with Cam Ward last year. I mean, there's a lot of things you can go to. I would say the positives with him would be he had 10-win seasons at Florida, at Miami, and Oregon. Not that many people have 10-win seasons at 2 Power 5 teams, Power 4 in this case. So that's not something that a lot of people have done. I think what's underrated with Mario is, first of all, I think it's underrated how bad Miami was when he got there and how bad Oregon was when he got there. He got there at Oregon at a low. But beyond that, I don't think it's enough credit for what he did at FIU. FIU, Oregon had great resources. Even pre-NIL when he was there, they had the facilities and all that. Miami, of course, has good NIL with Canes Connection. So sign up today, canesconnection.com/CIS. Be part of the solution. But with FIU, they had like Bowflex machines in the weight room. And he won the conference there, went to 2 bowls, I believe. Really the best era of FIU ever was with him as the head coach with no facilities. Had a personality conflict with Pete Garcia, the AD, who from what I understand is just a weird character, got all kinds of stuff going on with him. It wasn't really a Mario. Obviously, Mario's gone a lot further than Garcia since then. But I think that was like a weird departure there. Ends up, we know how the story ended up. But he was a great coach at FIU. I mean, he had the best seasons in FIU history with no resources. So to me, that tells you a lot about Mario as a coach beyond what he did at Miami and what he did at Oregon. Not perfect, a lot to prove, but that's what I would say is that's the story. Sim the Soldier. Come on, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate you, man. That's what I love about you guys. You guys not only ask questions and have great comments and great ideas, but you also support the show and ask others to support, man. So again, appreciate you guys, what you do. 850 saying, I was listening to Florida State Insider speaking to Danny Cannell. They were saying, what are we going to do if they have a bad year? Both of them agree they do not have money for a buyout. Yeah, they're in deep trouble. They're going to be broke, overly extended on Norvell for an unsustainable model. So I love how bad FSU is right now and how bad they're struggling. I don't want anybody to get hurt or anything like actually bad. I just want good old-fashioned struggle, healthy struggle and sadness at FSU, which is what we're seeing. They're playing like FIU. They have the same record as FIU probably. But yeah, man, guys, smash that like button. FSU is done. Yeah, FSU is in big trouble. The high school, they've recruited terrible. The high school guys they did sign, Charles Lester, Hakeem Williams, all the guys that they signed with high rankings, Cam Davis, they all stink. And then their team is bad. So you have bad team, bad recruiting, portals dried up, and your coach, not only is he bad, but he's getting paid a lot with a big buyout. So they have like the worst of all worlds. Now they're going to build a low floor kind of portal team with Malzahn, which again, what does Norvell even do around here? He's supposed to be the OC, and now Malzahn's the OC. Is Norvell there to recruit? Because he doesn't recruit either, but he gets paid a lot. So good job, Norvell and his agent. But FSU to me this year, low ceiling team, higher floor than last year. They'll do the Malzahn offense. Castellanos will run around, make some plays. Their offensive line should be better on paper. Defensive line, hopefully for their sake, will be less disorganized and just bad character. But we'll see how that turns out. But I think they'll win more, but they're not built to do anything special. I think you're talking about a 7-win team tops, 5 to 7 is where I go. So, man, a lot of comments here. Again, appreciate everybody's support. This is you guys seem to like. Do you guys like these weekend shows? It seems like you do. So if you do, man, I appreciate you. But yeah, real quick, men's basketball. Pete, if he was here, he'd be talking all about men's basketball. But the Miami Hurricanes men's basketball team will be hosting 9 ACC games this season, including North Carolina, FSU, and Louisville. Get your season tickets now at MiamiHurricanes.com/MBB tickets. That's MiamiHurricanes.com/MBB tickets. Yeah, get on the bandwagon now. Miami's got a great portal class, signed some great high school recruits that were nowhere near Miami when Larinaga departed. So these are guys that have been just added to the class afterwards and turned out to be great players. Shelton Henderson, 5-star, Dante Allen, 4-star. You added some foreign guys with some ton of talent. Kid from Slovakia, my boy Timotei, the Turkish delight, as Peter calls him. I don't even try to pronounce his name, Altuna. But big center as well as the power forward from Slovakia. So big time European guys with pro potential, 5 stars. in high school, local 4-stars, and then really good portal players. So it's an exciting mix. They're gonna need some shooting, but defensively, talent wise, direction wise, I think we're in good shape. Rocco, State Media takes no days off. You know it, man. Smash that like button. I appreciate you. Last one here, Juan Rodriguez. If FSU and UF struggle again this year, which player in either team should we go after? I'll do a controversial answer that I believe. DJ Lagway. Bring him over here. Let him compete. I'm actually a Lagway fan. I just think UF's team stinks. They lost so many players in the portal. We'll do a whole show on this. I'll save it for the next show, but I don't see why the hype of UF at all. I just don't get it. But I do get the hype on Lagway. I think he's like Anthony Richardson with like a brain and actual talent, actual like skill on the field, not just physical, but actually ability to put up numbers. Did in high school. I think he'll do it this year, but I think he's going to have some issues around him against a team like Miami. So again, man, appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe to the show. Almost 2,400 on, man. Appreciate you guys joining us. Like, subscribe. We're on every single day, pretty much, definitely every day of the week, and usually on weekends. Big regional matchup right now. Today, tune in to Miami against Columbia. Columbia's bats are hot. Their offense got them into this spot, but their arms are weak. Miami's lineup needs to step up. The bottom of the lineup, Torres, Peralta, Tanner Smith, guys like that, Renzo, need to hit in this game. I think they will. Derek Williams, see what he can do coming off an injury. He had a hit yesterday. So excited, man. Excited about Canes baseball. Excited about the 2,400 on here. Like and subscribe. Go Canes.